G'day guys, and welcome to this business management lesson. In today's lesson, we're looking at key knowledge point 121. That is Unit 1, Area of Study 2, and the first key knowledge point for this area of study. Today specifically, we're looking at the relationship between the internal environment and the external environment of a business. Now, when we talk about business environments, we're talking about the sphere of influence that your business has. The different stakeholders that you can impact, the different forces that you have some control over, and certainly the forces and stakeholders that have some impact on your business. If we consider the internal environment, which is the focus for this area of study, we're considering all of the factors and all of the forces and all of the stakeholders that are part of your business. Your employees, your managers, the machinery and buildings that you own and operate, the location where you've headquartered your business. Anything that is part of your business will be found in the internal environment. This first key knowledge point also has us look at the external environment, which we won't go into a detailed look at until the next area of study, but it is important in this early stage to identify that the external environment describes all of the factors and forces and stakeholders that can have an impact on your business and that you might have some impact on in return that are not part of your business. It's also important that you understand that typically the external environment is broken up into two sub-environments, the operating and the macro environments. The operating environment, as represented by this circular diagram as being the closest environment to the internal environment, describes factors, forces, and stakeholders that have a direct interaction with your business. You're either competing for the same resources or the same customers. Perhaps we're including customers who have a direct impact on your business when they choose to buy something from your business or not. We're talking specifically about things like suppliers who provide you with the resources to conduct your operations, and special interest groups who might take a direct interest in your business activities or in your human resources management, for example, employee unions. The macro environment describes forces that have an indirect interaction with your business and that you interact with indirectly. These include things like laws and the government of the jurisdictions where your business operates, where you include things like societal attitudes and economic conditions, which will have an impact on your business, but not directly. The economy isn't targeted specifically at affecting your business. The economy affects everyone, including your customers, and in that way has an indirect impact on your business. There are some other examples on your screen right now of factors to consider from the macro environment. Now, this key knowledge point is specifically about the relationship between the internal and the external environment. So it needs to be stated quite plainly that the external environment has a considerable impact on the internal environment. When laws are changed, when the economy fluctuates, if a customer decides to go to one of your competitors instead of coming to you, that's going to have an impact on your business. In many cases, businesses and business managers spend an awful lot of time reacting to forces and events in the external environment and hoping that they've made decisions and reacted quickly enough and reacted appropriately to ensure that their business remains competitive in the market. However, that's not the limit of it. The internal environment can and does have an impact on the external environment. Certainly, an internal environment factor or forces from the internal environment can often have an impact on forces from the operating environment. If you run out of produce, if you run out of products to sell, you're going to have an impact on your customers. If you develop some sort of new competitive advantage for your business, you're going to take customers away from your competitors. You'll have an impact on them. Much less common is an individual business having a measurable impact on forces from the macro environment, but it is possible from time to time to read about a case study of a single business that's lobbied the government to see a change in legislation and had an impact on macro environment forces in a way such as that. So it does happen. In summary for this key knowledge point, the external business environment is made up of the operating and macro environments. The operating environment includes factors that directly interact with the business but aren't part of the business. And for the purposes of understanding the relationship, it's important to understand that factors from the internal environment can have impact on factors from the operating environment, and a business will have some control over the factors from the operating environment. It's also important that we understand that the macro environment includes forces that will have an indirect impact on a business. And in this way, these things can have an indirect impact on the internal environment, and the forces from the internal environment may have a little or quite possibly have absolutely no control over forces from the macro environment. It's important as a business manager that you're observing and measuring the forces that are changing and acting upon your business from the external environment. It's also important as a business manager that you've identified and understood the forces from the internal and business environment, and you're monitoring those for any need to implement a change to maintain your business success. That's all for today. See you next time.